Hi guys, PrinceofMacedon here, doing a commentary video for Napoleon Total War multiplayer. I command the British, and my opponent is Dimitri in command of the Austrians. And without showing each of my units this time, I'm just going to list my units. And I'm going to list the units of my opponent as well. That way you can just read it. Yeah, this battle is kind of long, so this will help me save some time. In any case, a few minutes later, you can see our skirmishers are going at it. Those are my riflemen versus his Jaeger and Salesian Schützen. And he has a slight advantage here. He has more skirmishers, plus he has that hill advantage. So my guys are starting to rout. And in any case, the rules for this battle were no artillery pieces. So that's the rule in this battle here. And I didn't set it. That was the rule set by the host, Dimitri. In any case, my opponent didn't really support his skirmish line too well. So I'm just going to charge him down with my horse units here. And it didn't seem like my opponent was too concerned about his skirmishers, because I'm going to show you a little overhead here in a minute, and you're going to see that he has no units nearby whatsoever. He has no heavy infantry or no cav. So my guys are going to make short work of these guys. But yeah, look at the Austrians in the distance. They're kind of just watching their comrades die. But that's fine. That'll help balance out the situation, because my opponent's going to stay on the hill, and that's going to make it obviously harder for me to attack uphill. But since my opponent lost his skirmishers like that, I'm going to have an easier time. In any case, my opponent launched this is kind of a hasty attack on my left wing. With my left wing, I was trying to outflank him, so he launched his cav. But he made a slight mistake here. He launched him right into my elite infantry unit. That was my Black Watch. So that was kind of a mistake. And now he's going to charge into my lifeguards. So he went from a bad situation to a worse situation. But I also brought up my general unit just to make the process faster, in which I kill his horse units here. And without beating a dead horse with a stick, I'm just going to show you the result a few minutes later. All those dead horses are mainly his. Alright, so I'm advancing in here in the center, and because I have the skirmish advantage, I could do a frontal assault like this. And my opponent sees the situation that he's in, so he's going to advance his infantry down a little bit, so that they're not getting shot to death without returning fire. And during this process, I launched my horse units at my opponent's right wing. Actually his left wing, but it's opposite my right wing. And yeah, here I'm just hoping to pretty much just silence his horses so that I can destroy his infantry. But it's gonna be kind of hard. My opponent has some good horse units himself. But really, my goal here wasn't really to win this horse fight here. I mean, it'd be great if it happened, but really I just want to keep his horses out of the infantry fight, because I have a very good infantry advantage right now. And this is my flanking force. My opponent sees me flanking him, so he keeps readjusting his line here. So every time I scoot around him, he redeploys his line so that I'm forced into confronting his infantry from the front. So I'm going to keep trying to outflank him there. And here's my opponent bringing his Fusiliers down. Those are Hungarian Fusiliers and German Fusiliers, and some of his elite units that you saw listed at the beginning. But somewhere on the battlefield, I'm losing some men. Well, I mean, some of my men are routing. But you can watch the action on the minimap as well. I am the red ones on the minimap, and he is the blue ones on the minimap. But the horse action is pretty sweet here, as you can see. And in the distance, you can see our infantry is now exchanging fire. My opponent brought his Fusiliers down close enough where they could shoot my own guys too. Alright, so my opponent's still redeploying his lines, and he can match the movement of my infantry, but he can't match the movement of my cav. So I'm going to take my lifeguards, and I'm going to pretty much just bypass his infantry. And I'm going to go right for his units from behind. And you can see some of my riflemen have routed. And that's the result of my opponent moving up his Fusiliers to bash them in from the front. Alright, so yeah, as I was saying, here are my lifeguards. I was able to swing them around as infantry. And I'm going to go for that unit right there. That is the Archduke Charles. And when he saw my guys charging at him, he decided to countercharge. Personally, I would have ran away. But I guess my opponent thought it was too late, so he decided just to countercharge. So after a few minutes of this horse action, my opponent's horses were unable to protect their field marshal, so we actually assassinated the Archduke Charles. So I think in the long run, that's not going to be very good for the Allies. Alright, so you can see I'm losing some of my units in my center here. Over on this wing, you can see I routed one of his units on the wing here. So I'm making good progress here. And that shows the superiority of my foot infantry over his on that sector anyways. Alright, there you can see that my horses died on the right wing there. That's when I charged his dudes. So my opponent still has his hussars. And he's going to go somewhere, and we're going to see what they do later. Meanwhile, I took my lifeguards, and those are my horsemen who killed the Archduke Charles earlier. But I decided to strike the backs of his center line of infantry. And here my opponent prepared a square for my men. And my horses didn't really appreciate that. So I'm going to duck out of there, and I'm going to go for another target. But I lost a lot of horses right there.
Our men are running.
And I'm leaving my men there. They decided to rout. But look what happened to my opponent's wing here. This was the one trying to oppose my flanking force. They tried to trade shots with my British foot infantry and my Black Watch, and obviously my guys were going to win that fight. So I'm going to advance down his flank, and now my opponent is down just to his center and some of his cav units. But my opponent is in a situation right now which he has to fix. So I'm closing in from all sides, and look at all those blinking Austrian flags. A lot of those guys are just routing now. And you can see on the morale meter that his morale is starting to waver big time. And look in the back, you can see some of his Austrian units have stopped routing. So I was kind of worried about that because now they're on my flank. So there they are, they're coming back, they're starting to reorganize. And it's really annoying when that happens, when the enemy's troops stop routing. Especially when you don't have horse units, because if I had horse units still, I could have just chased them down while they were routing. But no, they're still alive, and now they can fight again. Alright, my opponent's taken his hussars, and one of them is the elite 1st hussars, and he's going to harass my infantry, but I was able to turn my infantry around, get some shots on his guys, and form my guys into a square. And during that fight, I lost my general, and this was a micromanagement mistake. You can see my guys weren't aware that they were being shot at. And look at my horsemen right there. I never gave the guy permission to dismount. In any case, the fight is going to continue despite the indiscipline of my horse units. And yeah, a lot of my enemy's troops are returning from the rout, so I was kind of worried about that. It's great when your troops come back from routing, but when it happens with the enemy's troops, you get kind of frustrated. Alright, so I'm going to continue the musket fire on these Austrian troops. And that is the Emperor's Own. That's an elite infantry unit from Austria. But you can see their morale is very low right now. So all I have to do is maintain the pressure on those units right there, and they'll rout. So I want to keep up my musket fire on those guys. Alright, so my opponent has, I think, 5 units left, and I have almost an equal amount. I think 5 as well. But really, I think I should have had this one in the bag. But once his guys came back from routing, I was like, oh crap. But the good thing is, his morale on most of his units are really low. He has two Austrian units with a fairly good morale, but the rest are like in the orange and in the red zone on their morale meter. And of course my guys have very excellent morale. Alright, so I'm going to advance forward here, and basically what I want to do is I want to confront those guys head on, because I know those guys can't stand up in a head-on fight with my guys now. So there's the musket fire, and look at his morale go all the way down. So they're going to rout right there. And yeah, seriously, not like losing all my horse units at the beginning like that. That was kind of bad because I can't chase these units down. And that's what I like to do. I like to chase these units like this who are routing, so that they don't come back from routing again. Really annoying. Alright, so finally the situation is under control. My opponent only has 2 units left, and he's going to retreat, and I can tell you why. He's going to retreat, and he's going to try to kill some time here so that maybe the rest of his units that are routing will stop routing again. So that's what he was trying to do. He's trying to buy time for his units that are routing. But and actually, look, one of his units did stop routing, so that was interesting. But now his guys stopped to stand their ground, and toe-to-toe they're going to break again, because the morale is so freaking low. And once again he has one more unit in the back. And yeah, it's amazing how many times his guys stopped from routing, even with the Archduke dead. Like, if the Archduke died and I was an Austrian, I would've just ran away, and maybe just moved somewhere else. Alright, so look at those guys, they're taking it from behind. That is never a good thing. But they're going to leave the battlefield. And I think that's the end. Yes, that's the end of the battle. And that was a really close battle. Like, look at the losses there. Very close. Good game to my opponent.